of those who entertain. Translation and purport by the Divine Way. Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Transcendentalists are concerned with the spiritual body. As such, by the strength of their devotional service, austerity, mystic power, and transcendental knowledge, their movements are unrestricted within and beyond the material worlds. The fruitive workers, or the gross materialists, can never move in such an unrestricted manner. Purport. The materialistic scientists' endeavor to reach other planets by mechanical vehicles is only a futile attempt. One can, however, reach heavenly planets by virtuous activities, but one can never expect to go beyond Svarga or Janaloka by such mechanical or materialistic activities, either gross or subtle. The Transcendentalists, who have nothing to do with the gross material body, can move anywhere within or beyond the material worlds. Within the material world, they move in the planetary systems of the Mahar, Janas, Tapas, and Satyaloka. And beyond the material world, they can move in the Vaikuntha as unrestricted spacemen. Narada Muni is one of the examples of such spacemen. And Durvasa Muni is one of such mystics. But by the strength of devotional service, austerity, mystic powers, and transcendental knowledge, everyone can move like Narada Muni or Durvasa Muni. It is said that Durvasa Muni traveled throughout the entirety of material space and part of spiritual space within 1 year only. The speed of the Transcendentalists can never be attained by the gross or subtle materialists. Yogeshwaranam Gatimahoranta Bahishtilokya Bhavarantaratmanam Nakarmabhistham Gatimahnuvanti Vidyartho Yoga Samadhi Bhajam. The Transcendentalists are concerned with the spiritual body. As such, by the strength of their devotional service, austerity, mystic power, and transcendental knowledge, their movements are unrestricted within and beyond the material worlds. The fruitive workers, or the gross materialists, can never move in such unrestricted manner. Mukam Kuroti Bhajanam Mangamayate Grimya Kripadalaham Vande Shri Guruni Natamina. So in this verse, first word, or first two words, Yogeshwaranam. So, Yoga, Aishwarya. So Aishwarya, of course, this we know to mean opulence. The root of it is Ishwara. So Aishwarya means the symptoms of one who is an Ishwara, one who is very powerful controller. Just like a king, then he will have Aishwarya. That means he will have big palace, and he will have ministers and an army and big treasury and one queen or many queens. Usually in olden days there were different queens and many other ladies in attendance. And finally a kingdom. King must have a kingdom. So these are symptoms of his Ishwara-ship. So when one is a yogi, Yoga Ishwara, master of yoga, then he will have Aishwarya in the form of mystic powers. So that's described here, how the Aishwarya of a great mystic, or even a pure devotee of the Lord, like Narada Muni, is that they can travel unrestrictedly throughout material and spiritual creations. But it's interesting to note that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he did not much favor this fascination with Aishwarya. Now, to get the background of why, we can look at the story of Markandeya Rishi. Markandeya Rishi is a great devotee and great mystic, and his glories are described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So he lived in very, very ancient times, and became known throughout the whole universe for his great austerities that he performed over 6 manvantars. The day of Lord Brahma is divided into 14 parts. One day of Lord Brahma is over 4 billions of our years, 4,300,000 and something solar years. So that's a very long time, and that is divided into 14 periods of manus. So mostly, even up to the Svarga Loka, the living entities cannot live beyond one of these. Their lifespan cannot extend beyond one period of manu. At least up as far as the Svarga Loka. Beyond, as you approach the Satya Loka of Lord Brahma, only then are the lifespans becoming very, very long. Up to as long as Brahma. Such great rishis like before Kumaras, for instance, they will have a lifespan as long as that of Lord Brahma. But Markandeya Rishi, he was a denizen of the earthly planet, yogi, and yet he performed austerities and engaged in meditation, followed perfect brahmacharya, was very, very sense control, mind control, over a period of 6 manus. So this was considered, the whole universe was giving attention to Markandeya Rishi. And in the 7th manu, as the reign of the 7th manu began, then Indra, the king of the Svarga, he became envious because he was thinking, this Rishi has become too powerful and he will be able to bump me out of my position. Indra is always afraid of that. So then Indra sent the personality of lusty desire, Kamadev. Kamadev personally came to the ashram of Markandeya Rishi, accompanied by the personification of greediness, and also, of course, the usual entourage of beautiful apsaras. So they appeared at the ashram, and the whole atmosphere of the ashram transformed, changed into a very, very heavenly kind of feeling, heavenly kind of mood. There were soft breezes, and it was just like spring suddenly. So this is all enhancing the desire for sense gratification. And then the apsaras started their dancing, and the personality of greed, he was approaching Markandeya Rishi to infect him with greediness for sense gratification. And Kamadev was fixing his 5-pointed arrow. He has an arrow which has a head with 5 points. Each one of these points represents agitation to the 5 senses, the sense of sight, the sense of hearing, the sense of feeling, and so on. So when this arrow pierces the heart of some living entity, then all his 5 senses become agitated by lust. And Kamadev is described as being very proud because wherever he fires his arrow, at any living entity in the universe, it always finds its mark and has its effect. So he feels himself to be the master of all living entities. So he fired his arrow at Markandeya Rishi, but the arrow was consumed in the fire of tapas of this great yogi. And not only that, Kamadev and the personality of lust and the apsaras and so on, they were all creeping up on Markandeya. And as they got near him, they also felt themselves burning, and they could not come closer. So they just had to run back to Indra and tell Indra, and we failed. And Indra was very, very surprised. He was very, very astonished that this yogi was so powerful, so sense-controlled, that even the personality of lust himself, Markandeya, who doesn't usually come on these missions personally, but this time he came along with the Apsaras. Usually Indra's just sending some beautiful girls from the heavenly planet. But even in the presence of Markandeya himself, this sage could not be influenced by lust. So, as a result of this incident, then the Supreme Lord, Lord Vishnu, became very pleased with Markandeya Rishi and appeared before him as Nara Narayana Rishi, who is the worshipable deity of all the great sages. Nara Narayana, this is the form of the Supreme Lord as the greatest of rishis, the master of all mystic power. They're a pair, twins. One is said to be, one is Narayana, the Supreme Lord himself, and the other is Nara, who is the pure devotee of Lord Narayana. So they're both appearing as great sages with massive locks and carrying Dharma grass, which symbolize the Vedas, and a bamboo staff, and Markandeya, they have forearms. One is black, one is white, brown thread. Padmaksha beads, like the Shaivite mystics carry Rudraksha, you might have seen them, big red beads. But those mystics who follow the line of Lord Vishnu, they carry Padmaksha beads, which are made of lotus seeds strung together, small. So anyway, they appeared before Markandeya Rishi to bless him. And Markandeya Rishi was of course very pleased to see his worshipable Lord. And then he asked for benediction, because Narayana Rishi, he said, whatever you'd like to have. I am so pleased with your austerities, your perfection, yoga, so you ask for benediction. So then Markandeya Rishi, he said, yes, I would like to study your Maya. Vishnu Maya means the mystical, magical, bewildering display of the material energy. So Markandeya Rishi did not ask to see this Maya, the workings of Maya, simply for sense gratification, but he was, as one could see by taking this mystic path, he is interested in power. He has some fascination for it. He liked to study it. So he wanted to study the mystic material energy of the Supreme Lord. So he requested Lord Narayana Rishi that you please manifest this for me so that I can see it. So Lord Narayana Rishi, he gave a kind of funny smile and said, so be it. But that smile meant that, you're in for a shock. So generally devotees will not make such a request, but because Markandeya Rishi had this mystic flavor to him, although he was a great devotee, there's no doubt about that. He's a great devotee, but he just had this mystic interest. So then Narayana Rishi, he said, yes, you'll see that, but you'll be very surprised. So then Markandeya Rishi was sitting in meditation in his ashram next to a river, when suddenly he saw terrible clouds appearing on the horizon, big black thundering clouds and they suddenly just swept over the horizon, and the whole sky was filled with darkness. And then rain was pouring down, torrents of rain, coming down in streams, the thickness of wagon wheels, like elephant trunks, you see, like tree trunks coming down, streams, torrents of rain. And this caused the great oceans of the earth to swell and overflow. So then he saw from all sides big tidal waves of the ocean sweeping in over the land. All living entities on the earth were being drowned. And his ashram also became over-flooded. So then he was carried away by these great waves. And the waves, they were filling the whole universe. Simply stretching from one side of the universe to the other. The whole universe became filled with these torrents of devastation. So Markandeya Rishi, he was being tossed and thrown about in these great waves, and he saw within the water there were great makara. Makara means crocodiles, and there were timingila fish, huge monstrous fish that eat whales. You see, whales are, for them, just little snacks. They're so big. So we saw these timingila fish. They were chasing whales and eating them. And these sea monsters were fighting also. They would fight, huge monsters fighting. And he would be carried by the waves sometimes in between two of these, and they would come together with their mouths open, and he would be afraid. Oh no, now I'm finished. They would come. Oh. But somehow he would just be missed by their colliding bodies. But it was very frightening. So he actually was swept by these waters of devastation for millions and millions of years. He didn't know what to do. Just walking, can you just imagine? The whole universe filled up with an ocean. Huge tossing waves, monsters in the water, darkness overhead, black clouds. And being in this condition for millions of years. So then finally he saw in the distance a small island. And so he moved in that direction because here was a chance for relief from this devastation of water. And he came to that island, and there was a small tree growing on the northeast side of it. And on one of the leaves of the tree, there was a little blue baby. So he was seeing this baby, and he became very much attracted, overwhelmed with attraction. He was wondering, who is this little child? And why is he resting on this leaf, on this tree, on this island, in the middle of the waters of devastation? So then the child was in a very happy, pleasant mood. He had a nice smile on his face, and he was glancing very attractively at the sage. And then he put his toe. The child took his foot, and he put his toe in his mouth, and he was sucking his own toe. So, as you probably have guessed, this child is a form of Krishna. Actually, is a form of Narayana. Just like when Krishna first appeared to Devaki and Vasudeva. So how did he appear? As a little baby, but this actually first he appeared as Narayana, with 4 arms, Vasudeva. And then at the request of Devaki, he changed his form to a small baby. But this baby had the potency of Narayana. And when Vasudeva crossed the Jamuna to deliver this child to the household of Nanda and Yashoda, then, as you may know, the waters of the Jamuna swept the child from his hand, and he was looking in the water, and he picked up another child. He thought it was the same child, but actually the child he picked up was actually Krishna himself, Swami Bhagavan. So later on, when Apura was taking Krishna out, when he bathed in the water in the same place, and when he looked beneath the water, he saw Vishnu lying on Shesh by Kuntana, and he saw all the demigods around him. So this is the same little child. He's actually Lord Narayana. So the sage, then he was watching the child suck his toe, because at this time the little child was thinking, my devotees are so eager to see my lotus feet. Why is that? So he was tasting his own lotus toes to see why the devotees are so eager to take shelter there. And so Markandeya Rishi was viewing this scene in great ecstasy. Suddenly the child breathed in. As you know, little babies, little children, they sometimes breathe like this. So that little Narayan was doing like that. And by breathing in, Markandeya Rishi was sucked into the body of the child. Suddenly just drawn into one of the pores in the baby's body. And then he found himself to be in another universe, but back in his old ashram, you see, and there was no devastation, everything was as normal. And going through into this universe, he saw the whole cosmic manifestation. He saw all the material energies, the different divisions of energy. This is what he had requested from Markandeya Rishi, to see the form of the material energy, how it is working in the universe. So he saw it, and then he appeared in his own ashram. And he was very surprised. Oh, everything's all right. What happened to the devastation? And then suddenly he was breathed out of that condition. He went back out, saw everything again, the whole mystic display of the material energy, different potencies, different varieties. And there he was again on the island, came out of the body of the child. And then suddenly he saw the child disappear. And then the island also disappeared. And he was back in the water. And then the water was swirling and turning. He noticed it was going down. The water devastation was going down. The planets were reappearing. Finally, he was carried back to his ashram, and the water receded, and everything was as it was before. So he was very amazed by this extraordinary display of potency. So this is Aishwarya, Yoga Aishwarya, in the maximum degree. Therefore, Lord Krishna, he is addressed in Bhagavad Gita by Arjuna as Yogeshwara, the master of all mystic power. But as I said, the devotees, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his followers, they're not so much concerned with this Aishwarya. As Lord Chaitanya explained to Balavacharya, Balavacharya, he wanted to he's actually very much interested in this Aishwarya. So he wanted to also explain about Krishna, explain or give explanations concerning, for instance, Krishna's holy name, invoking this Aishwarya. Many kinds of explanations, many kinds of elaborations on the meaning of Krishna's holy name. And Lord Chaitanya was not even interested in that. He said, Krishnera nam bahu artha naman. I'm not interested in so many complicated explanations of Lord Krishna's name. I only know two names of Krishna. That is Yashodanandana and Shyam Sundar. So this is very interesting. You see, the devotees of the Lord, they're only interested in Krishna himself. They're not interested in all kinds of elaborate explanations beyond that. Simply they want to understand Krishna in pure devotion. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained to Vallabhacharya that there are two kinds of bhava, two kinds of ecstasy by which a devotee becomes attached to Krishna. And one of them is this Aishvara Jnana Yukta. Means he becomes attracted to the Lord because of the Lord's opulence. But higher than that is Kevala Bhava. Kevala simply means pure consciousness. Pure Krishna consciousness. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave examples. He explained about Yashodananda, the son of Yashoda, Lord Krishna. How Mother Yashoda bound him out of love. She could bind the Lord. When the Lord became angry one day, Mother Yashoda was breastfeeding him, and then the milk boiled over, so she had to put Krishna down and go attend to that, and Krishna became angry. So he broke a pot of yogurt and he ran off and was feeding the butter to the monkeys. So when Mother Yashoda came back, she wanted to teach her child not to be so naughty. So she decided to bind him to a grinding mortar where spices are ground. So she took some rope and stretched it around the grinding mortar and brought it to her child, but found it was too short, so she had to get more rope and try the same. It was still too short. Again she tried, it was still too short. So Krishna cannot be captured by anyone. This is the point. But when Yashoda Devi began to think, but I must discipline my child. If I cannot discipline my child, then he'll grow up to be a rowdy. So when she was thinking like that, then she found that the ropes were just long enough to tie Krishna to the mortar. So in her mood of love for Krishna as her son, the Lord allowed himself to be captured. But as far as great mystic yogis, they have so much power, they have so much of this yoga, Aishwarya themselves, and they try with this mystical power, mystical attainment, jnana and vairagya, to understand Krishna, but they cannot. And that is explained in the Sri Brahma Samhita. Pantashtu koti sampradamyo vayoratapi manaso muni pungavan so kyasti yat prachabdya shimya vichinchitatve govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami. That the yogis who develop the power of, as described here, power of travel, mystical travel, by pranayama, by breath control and other disciplines of yoga. They can travel for millions and millions of years at the speed of the mind. But they will never be able to encompass Krishna. Whereas Mother Yashoda, she could do it very simply. She could tie Krishna like this. But that was out of love. So, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was explaining that the devotees, like Mother Yashoda, she's not interested. You see, just like when she looked in Krishna's mouth, because Krishna had eaten dirt, and she saw in there all the universes. You see, she saw the whole material, just like Markandeya Rishi saw. But she was not actually, like Prabhupada said, she was not interested in that. It didn't concern her. She didn't look into Krishna's mouth to see that. She looked to see if he'd been eating dirt. So Krishna revealed his mystic opulence to her. But she simply became bewildered. Why am I seeing this? What does this mean? So then finally Krishna said, all right. And he withdrew all the show. And then Mother Yashoda said, don't do it again. Prabhupada explained. Because she's so attached to Krishna in this motherly, affectionate mood. So she's not interested in this opulence. And yet she has such a profound relationship with the Lord. She is able to capture the Lord by her love. So the form of Krishna, you see, this form of Krishna, sometimes it is said that Lord Narayana, he is manifesting so much opulence and Krishna is not showing opulence. But actually, that's not true, because obviously Krishna is the source of Lord Narayana. And that was seen by Lord Brahma. When Brahma came again after having kidnapped the cowherd boys and cows, he came to see what was going on, and Krishna showed, he had manifested again the same cows and cowherd boys. Brahma was astonished, and then Krishna showed that these are all his personal expansions, Narayan expansions. So Brahma saw all these Narayans coming in and out of the body of Lord Krishna. Now any one of these four-handed Narayan forms is God for Lord Brahma. Ordinarily this is the topmost conception of God that Brahma and the other denizens of the Satyaloka planet will have. Four-handed Vishnu or Narayan. So he saw millions of these gods coming in and out of the body of Krishna. So that's real opulence. That's unimaginable opulence. So Krishna is certainly, he's possessor of all mystic powers, and yet his devotees, his specific devotees, who are devoted to this two-handed form, they're not interested in that. They don't look for that. And moreover, the great devotees who have achieved this Aishvarya Jnana Yukta, this bhava, which is of course very elevated. It allows one to live in Vaikuntha. So the devotees who are situated in that, they have a very difficult time entering the Kevala bhava, just like great devotees who have achieved this Aishvarya Jnana Yukta, this bhava, which is of course very elevated. It allows one to live in Vaikuntha. So the devotees who are situated in that, they have a very difficult time entering the Kevala bhava, just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's explaining this again to Vallabhacharya, just like the goddess of fortune. She wanted to be embraced by Lord Shamsuda, who dances with the gopis in the rasa dance. You see, in Vaikuntha, only Goddess Lakshmi has this Madhura relationship. Actually, it is in the mood of opulence. There's in Vrindavan, it is a mood of pure love. In Vaikuntha, there is much opulence connected with it, and it is also in the mood of marriage called Svakya. So only Goddess Lakshmi can have this position. The other devotees don't have a chance. But she sees that in Golok, Krishna is offering this opportunity to all the gopis of Vrindavan to have a much more intimate relationship with him than she has with the Lord of Vaikuntha in her married relationship. Because in Vaikuntha, Krishna, he's, as Lord Narayana, Srila Prabhupada compared it to a judge at court. You see? So when a judge is sitting in his at his table, at his, whatever they call it, the desk that the judge sits at, and he's dressed up, black robes, and in European countries he wears this big wig. And everyone is addressing him, Your Honor, he must be given very great respect. For instance, in America, he's not given that respect. Even a lawyer or someone like that, he will immediately put in jail. You see, even the lawyer who's addressing the court in a case, if the judge thinks he has made some disrespectful remark about the court, then he can just raps his hammer, and the police take that lawyer out of jail. So everybody has to be very respectful. And if the wife of the lawyer, of course at home, she will have a more intimate connection. But in that assembly, if the wife happens to be there, she happens to be sitting in the court, she also has to follow the custom and address her own husband as the Lord, Your Honor, like this. So, in Vaikuntha, then the goddess Lakshmi, this, she's restrained in how she can express her affection for Lord Narayana. She has to think what the residents of Vaikuntha will say. She cannot just put her arm around him like that. But she's hankering to do that. So she performed very, very great austerity so that she could also enter the Rasa dance. Because there, Krishna is so merciful. He's freely embracing all the gopis. So she wanted to also take that position. But she could not. Because how can she? She cannot leave this Aishwarya Bhava. Because that's her swarup, her position. So then she's frustrated, transcendently frustrated. Anyway, since Goddess Lakshmi, she's actually non-different. Just like Lord Narayana is non-different from Krishna, so Goddess Lakshmi is non-different. So she's an expansion of Srimati Radharani. But she's just showing us so that we can understand the difference between the intimate bhava and this Aishwarya Yukta bhava. So, yes, those who are situated in this Aishwarya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he cited one verse to explain this. What is it? Itam satam brahma sukhanubhutya and dasyam gatanam paridayatena, and he mentions also mayashritanam. So this is three classes he mentions. So the first are those who are situated in Brahma Sukha, those who are great yogis, great mystics, jnanis. They have attained consciousness of the Supreme Brahman. They are full of mystic powers. So and then those who are in this Dasya mood, this is the Vaikuntha mood, Dasya Gatanam Paridaivatina. So they approach the Lord as the Param Daivata, Param Supreme God. This is their mood. So they approach him in this mood, Dasya, as servants. And then there are those who are simply in Maya, third class. Maya Ashritena, Maya Ashritanam. The ones who are simply absorbed in sense gratification. So he explained, these three, they cannot know a great mystery. What is that great mystery? That Naradarakam Sakam Vijuhu Kripta Punya Punya. There are persons who are so advanced, so much more advanced than they are, who are playing with Krishna. They're approaching the Lord as the Supreme Brahman, or as the Supreme Godhead, full of all majesty, or they don't even have any idea of the Lord, just in Maya, under his under control of his mystic energy. So, but yet there are those